Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on, everybody? It is Motivational Monday here on the Afternoon Praise. We made it through a weekend. We're here at another week. I know some of y'all started y'all Mondays off already, but I just know you all started this thing strong and purposefully. Yes. But today, let's talk about the way you communicate is telling on you. So for the past 5 weeks, we've been working on you. We've been rebuilding your mindset, how you think, how you see yourself, how you respond under pressure, and how you move with intentions instead of emotions. We've been dealing with identity, discipline, execution, and alignment. This was the foundation. We were building a foundation. But hear me clearly. A strong mindset without structure will still produce inconsistent results. Because how you think is internal, but how you communicate is what the world experiences. So now it's time to build the frame. We're going to build a metal frame. We worked on the foundation, which was you, your mindset. Now we're building the frame, how you communicate. The structure that carries everything you've been developing. Because every conversation, every text message, every response, every moment of silence is shaping how people experience you. And whether you realize it or not, you've already trained people how to respond to you. So this week, we take control of that because the way you communicate is telling on you. And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Join us on this heavenly journey, one song at a time, Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and we are talking about communication. Communication is not random. It's not casual. It's not just how you talk. Communication is conditioning. Every interaction is a repetition. Every repetition becomes a pattern. Every pattern becomes an expectation. So now people don't respond to what you meant. They respond to what you've constantly showed them. If you've been inconsistent, they expect inconsistency. If you've been unclear, they expect confusion. If you've been solid, they expect stability. You trained that. And here's what most people miss. Conditioning doesn't require intentions. You don't have to mean to train people. You have to repeat something long enough. So even your bad habits, your delayed responses, your emotional reaction, your lack of clarity have been training people. You've been building a brand whether you realize it or not. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
You're riding the waves of faith and grace on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Motivational Monday, and we're talking about how you communicate. The way you communicate tells on yourself. See, you're not misunderstood, you're misaligned. A lot of people say, people just don't understand me. But most of the times, it's not misunderstanding, it's misalignment. Your words say one thing, your tone says another, your action confirms something else. And people don't believe your words. They believe your pattern. And misalignment creates friction. Now, people have to figure you out. Interpret what you meant, question your consistency, and the moment communication requires too much effort, people disengage. Not because they don't care, but because your signal is too inconsistent to trust. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Let's talk about the reality of delivery. Only a small portion of communication is your words. Most of it's your tone, your presence, your body language. So you can have the perfect message and still lose people because your delivery didn't match your intentions. Your tone lacked confidence, your body showed hesitation, your presence didn't carry authority, and people pick up on that instantly. They may not say it, but they feel it. And what they feel becomes what they believe about you. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. People feel you before they understand you. Let me break that down. Before people process your message logically, they process you emotionally. They feel your energy. They read your posture. They sense your confidence or your doubt. And once that emotional impression is set, it becomes the filter. So even if you say something powerful later, if that feeling was off in the beginning, they won't fully receive it. People don't just listen to you, they experience you. Your body language speaks before your mouth opens. You gotta communicate with your body. You gotta walk with confidence. You gotta walk like you are sure. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Motivational Monday. How you doing this week? I hope that you have started this week off strong. I hope you feel confidence. I hope you are communicating that I am bold, I am big, I am walking in my purpose. Yes. So this goes here. Trust is built before words land. Trust doesn't start when you explain yourself. Trust starts when people feel safe with you. When your communication is consistent, clear, and aligned, people lean in. When it's inconsistent, unclear, and forced, people pull back. And this goes deeper. Trust is not just emotional, it's biological. Bring in Paul Zach. The brain is constantly asking, is this safe? Can I trust this? If the answer is yes, connection builds. If the answer is no, distance forms. So you're not just talking, you're shaping how people respond to you. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. If you got a shout out or request, hit me up and I got you. Want to make sure that we are serving the people. Yes, because you all took time to listen to Wave Radio. Y'all took time to listen to the Afternoon Praise. There are over 1 million radio stations and shows out there, but you chose to spend your time here with me here on Wave Radio. Let's talk about consistency creates anticipation. Again, consistency creates anticipation. When you show up the same way over time, people stop guessing. They start expecting. And expectations builds trust. Now, your presence becomes predictable, meaning people know what they're going to get from you, how you're going to respond, what level you operate at, and that's when your communication becomes influence. Because your name carries meaning before you even speak or walk in the room. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Bringing the sounds of heaven 24/7, Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we are talking about communication. Your communication. What are you saying? What are people hearing when they see you before you even open your mouth? Let's talk about inconsistency breaks the system. If you're one way today and another way tomorrow, you break the conditioning. Now, people don't know which version of you they are dealing with, so they don't trust either version. And inconsistency creates hesitation. People second guess reaching out. They hesitate before engaging. They become cautious. And once people feel like they have to figure you out, they stop. They stop investing in the interaction. Yes. I know, I just turned sad. But it's a sad thing. Once you become inconsistent, you lose friends, you lose relationships, you lose businesses, you lose. There's nothing winning about inconsistency. It breaks systems. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. When I'm off this mic, guess what? I'm still communicating. My shows are still communicating. What I said is communicating. How I live is communicating. People want to know that, okay, I hear him talking. Is this what he talks about regularly? Is he living this? You all probably go to my social media page. You probably Google me, research me, and all that stuff. But let me tell you this. You are always communicating. Even when you're not talking, you're communicating. Silence communicates. Delay communicates. Energy communicates. Your response time sends a message. Your lack of response sends a message. Your presence under pressure sends a message. You're always signaling something. The question is it what you intend? You got to study yourself. You got to understand yourself. Be consistent. Understand where you lack at when you're communicating. Is it the words you use? Do you talk too fast? Do you talk too slow? You have to know how you communicate, because you're always communicating, being from writing, being from quietness, being from silence. Your motivation, your actions is always communicating something to somebody. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. You ever hear the saying, read the room before you say something, read the room before you do something, or people are always reading the room. Yes, the room is reading you. Every room you walk into is evaluating you. Not just your ideas, your alignment, your confidence, your consistency, your presence. Bring it in. Let's talk about a little research. So MIT Media Lab, people are measuring, are you steady? Are you confident? Are you aligned? And if they decide quickly whether to trust you or to question you, people decide quickly whether to trust you or to question you. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and this is Demetrius L. Brown. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You got to have some type of funniness with you. But we're talking about communication. And I want to talk about the pillars of communication. Y'all hear that? Yeah, that P hit, huh? Let's talk about the pillars of communication. The first pillar is clarity. Is your message clear? Is your message unclear? If your message is unclear, it's weak. Clarity removes confusion. If people have to ask, what do you mean? You've already lost momentum. Clarity means direct communication, simple structure, no unnecessary complexity. If they can't repeat it, you didn't communicate it. Clarity is the first pillar of effective communication. Make sure you're clear. Make sure you're clear. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we are talking about the pillars of communication. The first pillar was clarity. Now, the second pillar we're talking about is consistency. Consistency builds trust over time. Not one great moment, but repeated alignment. Your communication has to match across platforms, across conversations, across situations. If you shift too much, people will disconnect. Stay consistent. And if you unsure, let people know, I'm unsure. I can't give you the answer right now. Let me come back to you. See, people will respect that more than you just saying anything and giving them anything. So now you become inconsistent. You will just say anything. You don't know if it's true or not. But people love the consistency of being clear. And being clear is saying, let me know. Let me research this. I don't know right now. I will come back to you with the answer. That's part of being consistent. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and we were talking about the pillars of communication. The first one was clarity. The second pillar was consistency. The third pillar was empathy. Communication is not about you. It's about the receiver. Can they understand it? Can they receive it? Can they act on it? If not, you didn't communicate effectively. You just spoke. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm glad you tuned in. It is Motivational Monday, and we are talking about communication. And we were going over the pillars of communication. The first one was clarity. The second one was consistency. The third one was empathy. Now, the fourth pillar of communication is active listening. Most people don't listen. They wait to talk. But real communication adjusts. You read reactions, you observe responses, you adapt in real time. That's how you influence people. That's how influence grows. Because they know that you're not listening to like double dutch. I'm waiting for my turn. 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 No, people see that you are actively listening because the way you respond shows how you listen. If you respond with what you wanted to say from the get-go, that means you're not actively listening. You got to learn how to pivot because that person might have said something that might have debunked everything you was about to say because you got a perception of something, but you didn't hear it first before you build your perception. Now that person is talking to you. Now you got the truth. Or you might have to adjust to say, okay, hold on. This is what they said. This is what they are saying. This is what they did. This is what they're doing. Okay, let me regroup in my head. And how do you do that? You regroup by active listening. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. We were talking about the pillars of communication. Yes, that first pillar was clarity. The second pillar was consistency. The third pillar was empathy. The fourth pillar was active listening. Now, the fifth pillar is integrity. If your communication doesn't match your life, people will feel it. Even if they can't explain it, they will sense the disconnect. And once that happens, trust drops. Bloop. Because communication without integrity feels like manipulation. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we were talking about the 5 pillars of communication. And I'm going to go over them one more time. The first one was clarity. The second one was consistency. The third one was empathy. The fourth one was active listening. And the fifth one was integrity. You have to make sure that you stand on those pillars of communication. You got to make sure you're building something effective. It's all about effective communication. Because if you're not built on those 5 pillars of communication, that means your communication is poor. And the cost of poor communication? Yes, poor communication costs you. Do you want to know the cost of poor communication? Okay, let me tell you. Poor communication costs you opportunities, relationships, influence, and growth. Not because you weren't capable, but because people didn't experience you as reliable. Perception drives decision. And if your communication creates doubt, people will move differently with you. Work on your communication, people. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. My time is up. It's been good. It's been lovely. Man, this Monday is awesome. It feels good out. It feels good outside. I said good. It feels good outside. We are living. We are alive. But let me leave you with this. Let's do a communication audit. What do people feel when they see your name pop up? Do they feel clarity or confusion? Peace or pressure? Value or inconsistency? Because whatever they feel, that's your brand in real time. So if you don't like the response, don't blame the people. Change the pattern. Because communication isn't just what you say, it's what people have learned to expect from you. And the truth is, the way you communicate is telling on you. And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. I will catch you tomorrow on Triumph Tuesday. I'm out of here. Peace.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.